Hello and welcome back to the Awakening Film and TV podcast. I'm Kristin, and today I have one of my dearest, most amazing, closest friends, Silvia, with me. And Silvia, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, well, my name is Silvia. I am a completion process practitioner, and I don't know what else to say. Um, uh, I guess I'll just make it short and simple. I don't know.
Thanks for joining me. Silvia,
Welcome.
and today we're talking about a film that Silvia recommended called Kardec. And it was on Netflix, is how she found it. And she was like, Kristin, you need to watch this film. And it's a really great film. I thought it was really well made. Just a little bit of info about the film before we get into our little discussion. It was made in 2019 by the Brazilian filmmaker. I'm probably going to butcher these names, but I'll try my best. Wagner de Assis, written by him, and also L.G. Bayao, based on the true story of the history of Spiritism, and the author of 5 books of Spiritist codification and the founder of Spiritism, called, his name was very hard name for me to say, Hippolyte Leon Denizard Rivali.
Wow.
Anyway, that's his actual name, and he went by the name Kardec, as you learn in the movie, and hence the name of the film. So that's just a little information about it. Silvia, do you want to say like what attracted you to this film, or anything you want to start off with?
Yeah, like sometimes I get guided to just like go watch Netflix or go watch a movie. And I had one night, I that kind of popped up in my like Netflix feed. And it's not like I was watching anything spiritual or any type of like movies like that, but it just kind of showed up and I looked at the info, watched the trailer, and I didn't watch it right off the bat. It took me maybe like a few weeks. I knew though when I watched the trailer that I would watch it one day. Um, and yeah, that day did come a few weeks later. And when I did watch it, it just made sense for me to watch it then when I got guided to watch it. Because I think, if I remember correctly, it was a point in my life where um, I was kind of hiding spirituality a little bit in terms of like psychics, mediums, channeling. I only do that stuff with you, you know, and nobody really knows that I like practice channeling with, with you. Only you know and Kuan Yin, but other than you and Kuan Yin, like nobody really knows that I kind of like practice that on the side. And it has always been my fascination. Um, Kind of like, oh, can someone like me have that kind of ability too? Um, and I think through um, practicing with you, I just got this feeling of don't be shy around it. Why are you making it like such taboo? Why do you hide it from people and stuff like that? Like, what is so embarrassing or about it? And this movie, when I watched it, it really gave me kind of like that inspiration of like, don't be so shy. There's nothing to hide, you know? And um, it kind of helped me to re-own, like, I guess, myself from hiding about knowing stuff like this and encountering experiences, in my personal life. And so it kind of made me feel good to know, like, wow, these people have gone through a lot, like back in the day when it was more taboo, when um, people risked their lives and to share what they knew. And so I was really grateful in the end after I watched it. Yeah. But I got to be honest, even with you, Kristin, recently, I wasn't, I was kind of hesitant to even want to talk about Kardec with you.
Yeah. I'm
Yeah.
glad you aren't anymore.
No, no. Um, After a few integrations, yeah.
Yeah, so thank you, Sylvia.
Yeah.
Yeah, the completion process that Sylvia does is very powerful work. That's the integration she's talking about. And
Yeah.
an amazing channel and medium herself. And this film is literally about mediums. So it's just so perfect that now you're like, okay, I'm sharing this with the world, not just with my friends. And I'm going to talk about it. So thank you.
Yeah. Like I just don't want to be shy about it anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. How did you find the movie? Did you enjoy it?
Oh, I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I actually, it's funny because I've already had a relationship with spiritualism, and
Mhm.
spiritism is a sect of spiritualism.
Yeah.
Uh, because when I moved to Los Angeles, I went to the Green Man store and did like a candle magic class. And the teacher of that class told me the history of the Fox sisters in
Mhm.
New York in the 1800s and how they heard the rappings on the wall and they would translate it. And so
Yeah.
they were talking with the spirit and then they became famous.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
and so that was like the American spiritualism movement, like part of a really big spark of it, at least.
Yeah.
And so I started going to a spiritualist church in Hollywood called the Spiritualist Center. I don't know if it's still there. It was,
Wow.
but it's so cool because the sermon, Sylvia,
Yeah.
mediums channeling. They would
Wow.
trance channel, literally let the spirit come into their body
Yeah.
and channel, and they would give messages to the crowd like randomly. And I would get a message, you know,
Wow.
heart is open, and then the next week I get my boyfriend, and it's
Yeah.
like very interesting.
Wow.
Do
That
you know?
is so fascinating. I didn't even know it existed, like spiritual churches. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Apparently, it's really big in Brazil. Hence, these Brazilians making this film about 1850s France with
Mhm.
like one of the founders of this sect of spiritualism. Yeah. So I thought it was like a great production. The costumes are great,
Wow.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Acting was great. I cared
Acting is great.
characters. The writing was good.
Yeah.
And so I read that they did CGI in, because they filmed in France. Some of it they filmed in
Okay.
Brazil, apparently, or Rio,
Oh.
but they filmed in France and they CGI'd some of the buildings to still look old. They had to like cover up some of the modern,
Wow.
but it looked good.
It
I thought
did.
it was great.
Yeah.
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 And one
Wow.
of
All the work it took to
yeah,
create it and make it look like, old times.
yeah, so good.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. The lighting too, because this was before electricity,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
the candle, and
Kind
it
of
was
dark.
beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, yeah.
Question. Do you like, are you aware of all of that when you watch a movie?
Yeah.
Like, do you
I
look for all those details?
I get like sucked in, and then I also check back out and like watch it, especially if I know I'm going to do a podcast on it, which was the
Yeah.
with this. So I'm
Yeah.
able to like follow along, but also be aware.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. Because I just watch it. I like, I don't
Oh,
even think about how it was made, what it took to create this like environment and the scene.
yeah. Well, that's good though, because that means you're being immersed, right?
Yeah.
Fully.
Yeah.
So
Uh-huh.
it's
Uh-huh. And they did a pretty good job because I was.
yeah, yeah. I wanted to ask you a couple of things about the mediums in it.
Oh yeah.
So what did you think about how they channeled, like the trance medium, like automatic writing or like literally letting the spirit talk through them? What do you think?
Yeah, I totally am open and aware that like people can do that. And, we do that too, like automatic writing or like channeling. But what did kind of throw me off because I have a lack of understanding more of it and my fascination towards it. I don't know, I don't really have a fascination towards like levitation. So like in the movie when like the table was rising and stuff like that,
Uh,
because of my lack of understanding and just, I don't know, there's still a little bit of resistance in me to be like, um, could this really be true? But I am very open and know that it is true. It can happen. And I'm open to it. But there's a part of me that just doesn't want to go there just yet. Like it just feels a little too much for me.
oh, okay.
Yeah. But in terms of like channeling or like automatic writing and stuff like that, um, I totally support it and know that it exists. And I didn't find it weird or like too much or too out there or anything like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's cool. And what's great about this too, right, is that it starts off with a skeptic. Like he was a complete skeptic.
Hmm.
So as an audience member, my boyfriend was watching with me and he's a skeptic a lot of the time.
Yeah.
And he ended up following that journey of believing with the lead character.
Yeah.
Not too much because you're
It
following
helped me too. Yeah. Yeah.
that.
And
Yeah.
I
Oh,
loved how Spirit used him to take on this mission because like I love how in the beginning he used like I don't know, trying to prove it, reason with it, and not just totally fall like all into spirituality without being skeptic about it. And I really admire that like Spirit chose someone like him.
I
Yeah.
like that too because they did show this in the film, and this was a thing, still a thing. People trying to disprove it, people using magnets to raise the tables.
Mhm.
There are unfortunately discrediting people out there
Yeah.
under these sorts of movements, but it doesn't mean that all the work is fake.
Yeah.
It's nice to have
Yeah.
scientifically minded. Yeah.
Exactly. And I know that all of the stuff that they have like recorded and even this movie, I believe it's true, but it's really interesting how because of my conditioning around like it being like, oh, that's a bit creepy, like the levitation and all of that,
Yeah.
that like it, that resistance makes me, even though I know it can happen, to fully embrace it. And I was aware of like, oh, someone who may not be as open or not as consciously aware of like spirits and stuff like that, how much harder it could be for them to believe it and to put a positive light towards it or to even be open to it.
Oh my
So
gosh. Yeah.
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 Um,
So it's like that, maybe that physical proof of the table levitating is important for those people that are just so skeptical, right?
yeah, yeah. And I
But
think, yeah.
what were you gonna say?
Oh, I was gonna say for me, the resistance towards that is religion, like being raised Catholic.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because
Yeah.
that's like a big part of this film, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
As a raised Catholic, how did you take the whole stance of the Catholic Church?
Oh, you know what they would say? It's demonic. Like it's Satan. So fear it. Don't even believe it. Don't mess with it. And pretty much like, yeah. like, um, like, I don't know. I think they have actually instilled a lot of fear into like getting curious about it. Is it really true or not? Like, and to feel safe to be curious about it and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's
But
all evil, all demonic, right?
yeah, yeah. And such negative talk, like only negativity about stuff like that. Yeah. But it's interesting because like religion talks about spirits, they believe in spirits, and I'm pretty sure they've communicated with spirits. So it's really interesting why they would taboo that for like a lot of people when they know it exists, and why instill fear.
I mean, I think it's because they want people to be dependent on the hierarchy of the orthodox like dogma and religion, so they can only talk to God through the priest instead of
Yeah,
talking to God themselves, even though it's taught that you can talk to God yourself. So it is a little hypocritical,
yeah,
but I think they don't want people to communicate and find this stuff out on their own. Still today, there's a lot
yeah,
of churches and just different religions as well that don't
yeah,
want. Yeah.
yeah. I stopped going to church years ago. And if it wasn't for church, I think I would have, like, my curiosity would have been so fascinated and would probably want to like find out for myself and try to experiment, like calling spirits and see if it actually works. Like, I think my curiosity would lead me there, but religion just kind of like really put that brake on me of like, ooh, don't go there, don't go there. You could be messing with wrong spirits. Yeah.
Yeah. How old were you when you stopped going to church?
Um, I think it was high school. Yeah.
Okay.
Um, right after, it's like senior year or end of senior year. Yeah, just stopped. Yeah. But even if I did go to church, I didn't really go to church for like the religious aspects of it. It was more for like hanging out with friends.
Oh, okay. Hmm. Yeah, you ended up going to church longer than I did. My
Mm.
family, or I was a teenager as well, like high
Yeah.
school. But I feel the same way. But I kind of went crazy afterwards with Ouija board,
Oh,
was my form of seance. But the
yeah.
problem, which they also address in this film, and I was interested in hearing your opinion on, was I didn't learn to Ouija board at first with a real understanding of the need of protective prayer and
Yeah.
clear intention, and was just open to whatever came.
Yeah.
Sometimes experiences were good, some were bad, but I did definitely have a few real visceral experiences with it.
Whoa. Okay, I've heard gnarly stories with Ouija board. I've never done it before.
You haven't? Okay.
No, I've never. But even like, there's this toy store near my parents. Um, and they still do sell Ouija boards today. And I asked the store like owner, he's had that toy shop for years. And I said, have you ever done the Ouija? And she's like, oh, yeah, don't want to mess with it. That thing is real. I was like, oh, okay. I've had so many confirmations from people who used it saying it was pretty gnarly, where I think you're right. Like, you can't just be open to, I think it opens doors to all spirits, right?
I agree. Yeah.
Yeah. But I am fascinated though, like those spirits that are quote unquote negative or bad, in the end, it's like they're not so scary if you look at it from a perspective of it's just the shadow part that hasn't been seen or heard, right?
They're in pain.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So, yeah. But what was your experience like?
I thought I told you this before. Maybe maybe not. But
Kind of, maybe. I,
okay, I'll just tell you a couple highlights. Not too long.
yeah, yeah.
When I got obsessed with Ouija boarding was actually right after my dad passed away, and I
Mm,
wanted to talk to him. I miss him so bad,
mm,
and I was mad at God and the church and all of that religion basically. And
yeah,
so I wanted to find my own way of empowerment to do it myself, hence the Ouija boarding. And one of my friends and I from my hometown, we would Ouija board all the time together. And I've had some good experiences in terms of some of the spirits really wanting to just make friends, like
yeah,
really friendly little boy, or like someone that was just lost, and then we told them like, hey, you've passed on. I didn't necessarily send anyone to the light when I started. I was just trying to talk to my dad, who, guess what, never came through, at least from what I remember.
yeah, yeah.
But I had like dreams and other experiences with my father, so he came in other ways. But there was one, the gnarliest experience that was late at night. I had a glow in the dark Ouija board, and I had charged it, so that was
Ooh.
light.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
and at first we were just talking to like this normal spirit, and then all of a sudden, the planchette, the little pointer thing,
Uh-huh.
started going through all the alphabet crazy
Whoa.
circles, and then we're like, whoa, 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 stop it. And we
Yeah.
took off because it needs the power of you, it needs your eyes and your energy
Oh,
to be able to move it. So me and my friend stopped, and then I heard this man,
yeah.
and he was yelling top of his lungs in some, I don't know, it sounded like Arabic. It was like,
Whoa.
I saw this dark big doorway, and it grew in darkness, and then it made a pop, and then it disappeared.
Whoa.
And she looked at me, and we're like, did you just, yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
so you both witnessed it, the
Uh,
same thing.
yes. And
Whoa.
after that experience, unfortunately, she had like a telepathic, we didn't even need to use the board after a while because she could just telepathically talk with the spirits. And I
Yeah.
had a friend that had that as well. And they got so freaked out, they wouldn't touch it anymore.
Yeah.
And I used to get jealous of them. And I would ask them, the spirits, like, well, why can't I have telepathic messages?
Yeah.
And they wouldn't tell me. But now I realize it's because I do this work. I am a channel, not a trance medium per se.
Yeah.
I do channel information, and I needed extra protection in this life. And that's why I didn't
Wow.
telepathic communication with like lower 4D spirits. Yeah.
Wow. So, I did not hear this story. This is new. Yeah. I know that you've done Ouija, but I didn't know the story behind it.
Yeah, that was the gnarliest experience.
Wow.
Yeah, I'll never forget that.
Oh, I bet.
There's another story I have about not Ouija boarding, but a medium I saw, if you want to hear.
Yes, yes.
Okay. So this was maybe a couple years after the Ouija boarding.
Yeah.
Uh, not Ouija boarding anymore. And I was in college, and I felt a strong pull to see a medium to talk to my dad.
Mhm.
And then it got rescheduled for a week later. Something happened, and one of my old boyfriend's little sisters had passed away in that week, which was weird. It was like it
Mm.
was to be moved. This woman was really nice, and she did table tapping like they talk about in this movie,
Oh.
Kardec, where the table will like have a 1 for an A,
Mhm.
2 for B tapping. And she had a audible understanding, and she talked like my dad. It sounded like him. It
Yeah.
was interesting. She talked to
Wow.
my aunt, sent her to the light. She was lost, and she talked to that girl, my ex-boyfriend's little sister, and sent
Oh,
her to the light. And so it was like meant to be. It was
oh my God. Yeah.
experience. It wasn't scarring or scary at all.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I want to ask you, because like for someone that's not conscious, like spirit is spirit, right? It is just kind of categorized as like one thing, like it's just spirit, right? You can't see it. You like they don't have a physical form, whatnot. But how can you tell the difference where a spirit is like a like peace, and with respect versus a spirit that may want to mess with you in a very disrespectful way?
Oh, I'd love to hear your answer on this question too. I
Yeah.
think that it's something that you intuitively feel.
Uh-huh.
Uh, yes, spirit can be anything. That's like a blanket term, right?
Yeah.
For all of it,
Yeah.
anything out of normal physical experience. But I think if you're very open and you haven't said a certain sort of prayer or invocation or intention,
Mhm.
and you're just letting stuff in, you can usually feel it. That's why it's like an emotional thing for me as a channel. I can feel that something feels painful or off or weird
Mhm.
or cloudy or negative, because whenever I channel someone's, like say I'm going in the Akashic records and talking with someone's masters, teachers, and loved ones, it is very heavenly. It's like
Mhm.
so much unconditional love. And I
Yeah.
don't have any of those wonky emotions around me.
Yeah.
That's how I can tell. What about you?
I see. Um, I hadn't had many encounters with like I guess like unhealthy I don't know what you would call them, like unhealthy spirits, I don't know, or like uh um to say like, oh, I could really tell the difference. But I agree with you. When I did connect with spirits, it was that like love and light feeling state, and I realized it just made me feel that way, where I couldn't be scared of it at all.
Exactly. Yeah.
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 And I think the moment I encountered a spirit that was kind of like messing with you was when I used to live with my roommate mm, back in Los Angeles. And she actually encountered um, spirits that, would occasionally like mess around. And she actually is the one that kind of helped me like um, not be scared of them. When I
Oh,
first moved in to the apartment that night, I had a dream, and it was one of those like really like like a spirit that wanted to mess with me and try to like scare me. And they were wanting me to get scared. And I feel like if I had gotten scared, um, it's like they knew they had more like empowerment for themselves to mess with me. And I think they were just kind of gauging to see like how I would react. And um, I remember that night I called my roommate over and I was telling her, I was describing the spirit. And then she obviously knew who it was. And I won't go into details because I don't know how she feels about me sharing all this. So, but basically, what happened was I was describing this spirit that she has encountered a few times. So I just knew that, oh, okay, yeah, like it's that spirit that tried to scare me the first night, like I moved into the apartment. And, but ever since, like I had that encounter once with that spirit, and because I wasn't scared, I was more irritated and annoyed. It never messed with me again.
oh,
And
okay.
I had another friend who's like some random spirit was messing with her. And basically what happened was she was too scared to sleep in her own home. So I picked her up, brought her over to my place, and one of the crystals that I had in my room, just again, it's it's not a crystal that's like round where it can roll off. It's like, it kind of looks like a pyramid. And that just kind of fell off my shelf. And there's nothing around it to get knocked off by. There was nobody in the room. It just, yeah. So knew that like those kind of spirits, but I was around people who kind of showed me like not to be scared of them.
Mm.
And so even if I do, I realize, okay, if I'm not scared, they can't mess with me. But
Yeah.
if I fall for that fear, then
Yes.
yeah.
Spirits in pain, they feed off that fear, right?
Yeah. So I agree. Like for me too, it's all through the emotions of like how it's making me feel.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you did have a recent experience with a spirit. Would you like to share?
I did. Yes. It was so random where I know some spirits are like just around, like your dad. I felt your dad, right? When I first met you. Yeah.
We're
But
friends, my dad.
uh-huh. And I felt your dad. I heard him talking to me, but your dad's spirit wasn't like the spirit where it was like knocking physical stuff down, or anything like that. But like a few days ago, out of the blue, I encountered a spirit where I went upstairs to like sleep, and out of the blue, I heard a big, like, as if someone dropped like, I don't know, something really heavy. And it made a really loud slapping noise on the ground. And I thought, what is that? It happened in the middle of the night. I was about to go to sleep, and I came downstairs to check out the place to make sure, like, did something just fall without me, like, aware that something was tipping over, and I don't know, it just fell, and I like checked the whole house. Nothing fell over, nothing, absolutely nothing. And I don't know what possibly could have made that loud slap noise. And I immediately felt when I came downstairs, I had a feeling, a really good feeling. I was gonna, like, it was some kind of a ghost, some sort of spirit. But again, I wasn't convinced. I just had the feeling, a pretty good feeling. But then again, I mentally told myself, okay, if there is a spirit in this home, then basically, like, I want to hear it again to prove to myself, like, it's not just in my head. But it didn't. But my intuition, my emotional state was making me feel like, no, there is a spirit in here. And but I could tell it wasn't a disrespectful one because it only made that sound once. And then the next day, I think it's because that spirit knew that I had a pretty good feeling that it was a spirit. And I think because it knew that I kind of knew that it was around, I'm not sure about this, but I feel like it kind of encouraged the spirit to like do more things in the house. Because the next day, what happened was, again, the sun went down, it was completely dark. I was going to go to bed, but I had to use the restroom. So I went downstairs, turned on the hallway lights, and took care of my business. And on my way out, um, one of the rooms was lit up. Like someone had turned on the lights, and it couldn't have been me because that room was closed. And the only way to turn on that light in that room is to open the door to turn it on inside, from inside the room. There is no way you can turn on the light in the hallway from outside that room because there is no light switch for that room outside. So that's when it really confirmed for me that, oh, okay, this spirit wants me to like be aware that it's around and that my intuition is right. So then I thought, okay, but again, I didn't feel the fear. It was like, all right, I know you're here, but I didn't have any fear. So I just kind of brushed it off like, okay, I just know you're here, but I'm going to go to sleep. And then that's when I actually connected with you that day to just confirm, am I really encountering a spirit? I know that I am, but I like to confirm with you always. And you gave me more details on, yes, it's a spirit that passed away in this home. And basically you told me that it was a sweet soul, but had a lot of sad energy. And you told me, I kind of had a feeling it needed help transitioning to the light, like going towards the light. So when you told me, yeah, you got this, you already know what you're supposed to do. So I was like, okay. And then on the third night, because I noticed that makes it like, it wants my attention when the sun goes down, but on the third night, I was particularly tired. And so I decided to communicate with it, saying, I'm really tired. I can't wait for the sun to go down, but I'm willing to like connect with you after I do the dishes. And I will sit, light up a candle for you, and really just tune into what you want to share with me, why you want my attention, and I will just hear you out. And I said, I am ready to do that after doing the dishes. And if you can hear me and you are also okay with that too, give me a sign. So right when I was done doing the dishes, behind me was my phone. And somehow the spirit like got on my phone, went on YouTube and just turned on a random music that just blared off of my phone. And I just thought, okay, all right, I see your sign now. And for me, more than being scared, I was so fascinated by it. I just said, oh my God, okay, I know you gave me a sign to saying, like, it's okay with you. Can you just do that again? Like, just do that again. Like, can you just play another song on my phone or just do something else? But right then another friend called at the same time. And I really wanted it to like show me while I'm like paying attention. Like, can you just turn on the light while I'm looking at the room? Or can you play the music as I'm looking at the phone? I really want to experience that. But I don't know why I didn't get to. I don't know why spirits do that when you're not like looking or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
So again, with my third, I just really knew, and I kind of like, again, I created like, I made like flowers. I brought flowers, lit a candle, and I allowed him to pick some cards, like frequency cards. And I just kind of sat there in total silence and just kind of opened my channel to allow him to communicate with me. And he did, and didn't want it, long story short, didn't want to um, shift and go towards the light. But after a good conversation, he finally had an understanding and decided to go. And when he agreed to go towards the light, I don't know I don't know how to explain in words, but it's the feeling state, it's complete, it's done. And then after that, I felt really good too. Like there was so much peace. And then the next morning, I knew that it had left, but I also had to confirm it with you. and you did confirm with me. And ever since then, I didn't hear noise from the spirit. Although my ego, though, yesterday thought, wait, did it not cross over? This part of me that wasn't really trusting that I helped it transition, couldn't believe that I could do something like this, possibly, to help a spirit like this. Because it was my first time actually helping a spirit transition on my own. But I believe that I did help it, because ever since that day, I didn't hear any noise, didn't feel the spirit messing with me or the house in any way. And it's been really peaceful and good. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks so much for sharing. I just feel like you explained it so beautifully, how any viewers or listeners of this
Oh,
interact with any kind of ghosts that are around in a way that, you don't have to be fearful, but you can also stand up for yourself and
yeah.
try to help them from this place of self-love and care and compassion. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah. And I think in that movie, Kardec, where he was receiving messages about it's going to be like a dangerous mission, and you're going to be running into a lot of haters and stuff like that.
Yeah, and he did.
Yeah. And I
Yeah.
don't see that any different than like spirits or ghosts that are like disrespectful, you know, and that likes to mess with people. Like, that's shadow energy. And in the movie, like, humans who actually like torment this man, or like go against his work, or um, like people who don't want to believe it and act out in a negative way, like towards violence, like it's the same energy. They're all shadow energy,
Oh
right?
yeah. Oh yeah. It reminds me of Teal Swan and how she's
Yes.
hated on majorly right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
You
Mm-hmm.
do her work,
Yes,
and it's beautiful work. It's amazing work. It's shadow work.
I agree. I agree. And um, it sucks that she has to go through all of that, which is untrue. Um, and people painting such a negative picture of her and of her work. And you and I both know, I don't want to go off tangent, but basically, you and I both know how helpful and how much she helped us change. And
So much. And no,
yeah,
it's not a tangent because
always grateful.
he did the kind of work that Teal's doing, really bringing to the awareness that there's more than meets the eye in the human experience, right?
Yes, yeah, true,
So, in
true.
the same vein, they're both light bringers, and of course, shadow is going to come up with
Yeah,
light coming out. At least that's my perspective of
yeah.
it.
It's all part of the work.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And I think it really helps when you delve into spirituality of any type of like not being scared of shadow and not being scared of love and light. It's like just not being scared of anyone, like any energy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I agree, because you have this uh, certain understanding in yourself that you love yourself and everything is a reflection of you. So it's nothing to be scared of. Like any darkness coming at you is letting you know of any darkness within you.
yeah,
So it takes away the fear, just that knowledge of the reflection,
yeah.
attraction, whatever you want to call it. It really helps.
I do want to ask you though, because I know you channel, I know like you're a great channel and all of that, but how do you feel about levitation and stuff like that? Have you ever been fascinated by it?
That's an interesting question. Yeah, you channel too, and you're very
Yeah.
talented. Um, And that's interesting that you're like, levitation is too much. For me,
Mhm.
I have been fascinated, but only for a little bit of time in the Tibetan monks that are said to levitate when they meditate.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh, because I always felt there's something very, very special in Tibet and
yeah,
a lot of beautiful energy there that these monks are holding. And I think it is kind of fascinating to defy the laws of physics
yeah, yeah,
via so much internal energy work. And I think that it is possible. We just probably can't scientifically explain it right now, but it's possible. So,
yeah,
yeah, it's fascinating. And yes, have I tried to levitate while meditating? Yes. Has it happened? No. And so I kind of gave up on the whole thing.
yeah.
Yeah.
I would totally like I see myself doing that too. Like I haven't tried, but I can see myself practicing, seeing if this is really true or not. Like for me to believe it's like I have to surrender to it, to experience it for myself, to actually make an opinion to see if it's true or not for me.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
We,
But for some reason, no like curiosity towards really wanting to see if this is true or not. I believe people can do it. Yeah, yeah,
I'm with you there. Yeah. It's like,
yeah,
if I experience it, awesome, but I don't have to
yeah.
figure it out or experience it.
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And again, I can't like I just love the fact that this guy, I forget his name, but the main character in the movie, um,
Call him Leon, and which is one of
Leon.
his names in it, but Rivali, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Um, how he's not a channel himself per se, you know, in terms of like um he's not the medium that receives messages from spirit directly, or he wasn't the one that believed in it in his life. You know, he became aware of it in his adult life. And um, how he went from so not believing it's true to believing it's true. And he only ended up believing that it's true is because he was open to allowing it himself to see and to be open to make his own opinion to see if this is true or not, instead of just making a judgment of just hearing about it and saying no. Like I already believe it doesn't exist, but never experiencing it for himself to see if it's true or not. And he was a very gentle soul where even if he didn't believe in it, he was open to figure it out himself or not. And I really admire that about him.
I'm so in agreement with you. Open-mindedness is such an amazing virtue,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
he definitely had that. And he also jumped up to the task knowing he was going to encounter adversity. And
Mm-hmm.
the spirit said, if you don't take this task, there are others that will,
Yeah.
but this is being offered to you. And I really think that is how it
Mm-hmm.
works. It depends on your willingness of your free will to
Yeah.
step up and claim this destiny if you want it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally agree. Like whether you delve into channeling or not, it's your free will to like experiment with it or not, to surrender to it or not. Yeah.
And okay, if people don't believe, maybe
Mm-hmm.
get healing and faith through other means that works well for them. But for people like you and I who are disillusioned by organized religion and we
Yeah.
like to speak it on our own, this
Yeah.
stuff is fascinating.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally.
Yeah. Oh, this
Yeah.
was really good. Like we got a lot in here. Is there anything else that you're wanting to share about this wonderful film?
Um, I just like that it's out for people to watch so they can get an idea of like how spirituality was taboo from eons ago. And it's still kind of like that today. And it's really fascinating how more people are not open to it as much, and how religion, even though they endorse it, right? Spirituality, it's very narrow-minded. Yeah. And it doesn't help. So it's just, I don't know, it's just really fascinating where it's your free will to delve into it or not, to experience it for yourself or not. But to go around telling people it doesn't exist, it's not true, you're crazy then, or whatnot, it's just really sad. Yeah. And I like how this movie portrays where like, see for yourself. See for yourself. Yeah. And make your own judgment. And if you experiment with it and you don't believe it, I would applaud you for at least trying and having your own opinion, saying it doesn't work, you know?
Well said. Yeah.
You and I have experienced it and now know the stuff is real.
Yeah, it's real. It's real. Whether someone chooses to experience it or not, I believe, yeah, it's real.
Yeah.
And yeah, you just said that so beautifully. I feel like there's nothing I can even cap to wrap this up any more succinctly. So thank you for that.
Yeah. Thank
And
you.
for joining me.
Yeah, it was fun. And I'm really excited for your Adventurine entertainment and for more videos.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
I'm sure you'll be back again. I hope so.
Yep. I do want to talk about the never-ending story.
About that one.
Yeah.
Silvia, and thank you for everyone
All right.
for listening.
Thank you. Yeah.
Bye.